Hey everyone, this is Leanne from Of Love and Shiplap and the founder of Sublimation Graphics and Tutorials here on Facebook. If you're joining us on YouTube, don't forget to come join our Facebook group where all of our videos air live before they're added to our YouTube channel unedited. And of course, if you're catching us live on Facebook, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can easily find all of our videos after they are live in our neatly organized playlists. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to put together the build a character sets in Affinity Designer. Now these are very popular and next week I'll make sure to cover them in Silhouette and in Inkscape so that you guys have a few different programs to reference. But the process will really be the same no matter what program you're using. It's all about stacking your layers in the best way possible. So first, if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I'm going to go over here to create a Fabrica. And if we just type in watercolor people, we're going to see these different characters. Now, I'm sure you've seen these all over the internet. We've had a lot of requests to do a tutorial on how to put these character sets together. Jasper is also here to say hi. But the character sets, they come in just so many different variations, and there are quite a few different designers, but my favorite is this Lecoq design. She probably has one of these for every different occasion that you can think of. So if we just click on her name, you'll come to her specific designer page. And you'll see there's backgrounds that you can work with. There's all these different elements for different holidays and occasions. And being able to personalize these for your customers is just a really easy way to create a really special gift that means a lot for the person you're making it for. So whether it is, going on a garden flag or a coffee mug or a Christmas ornament or a tote bag, you have endless possibilities for what you can do. So if you were just to click on any one of these, really, so we'll do the autumn family truck clip art here. You'll get to see what's included. So we've got all these different body styles. Got the arm, the ones with the arms to wrap around the family. It comes with these different hairstyles. Comes with a background, a truck, and then it kind of gives you some examples of what you can use it for. Now, the average price for one of these clip art sets is around $20. So this is where having that Creative Fabrica membership really comes in handy. And I personally love the membership to this website. I mostly use it to access the variety of fonts and also digital papers that I'll implement into my designs. It's really important to understand that if you are creating digital graphics, you cannot simply make a design like you see here on the screen and sell that as is, because you haven't added anything that is a unique element to it. You can use it on physical products, you just can't sell it digitally. So just to make sure that's clear, if you ever have any questions about the appropriate terms of use, you would just scroll down to the bottom and click on single sales license or subscription license. It's the same license details. But it's very straightforward. It tells you exactly what you're allowed to do, exactly what you're not allowed to do in both digital products and physical products. So be sure to read through this so that you have a clear understanding of how you can implement these designs. And this just gives you a great example. You can't simply use and create a downloaded element that doesn't incorporate anything else, versus over here, this card incorporates all sorts of additional elements, including text and watercolor blotches to create a completed design. So you can use these for digital design creation, or you can just use them to make personalized gifts on demand for your customer base. But there's a lot of versatility, and I think that for the $29 a month that Creative Fabrica is, you can get so much out of it. And I mean, you can see this Lecoq design probably has the largest collection, and she is not the only one, but she is definitely one of my favorites. So, and like I said, she's got so many. So let's go ahead and click over to our Affinity Designer. Now I'm using Affinity Designer on a Windows laptop. Keep in mind that if you're using an iPad or a Mac, um, a Mac desktop, your interface might look a little bit different, but all the same features are available. So this should be pretty easy to follow. Now this is a very quick tutorial because this is very honestly easy to do. So we're going to start by clicking on File and New. And you can choose to open a document or an artboard. I prefer to use a document for this type of thing. You can learn more about navigating the interface for Affinity Designer in our Intro to Affinity Designer for Sublimation video, which is included in the video description today. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on my preset graphic or preset size workspace that I made. And now we'll go ahead and click on our Place Image tool. And I already went ahead and pre-downloaded some of the Lecoq backgrounds and elements for fall. So we'll just pick one of these, kind of like this one that looks like it's over the water. So we're going to click and drag to size it in our design space. We'll just kind of move that to the top of the screen. I really like to kind of work through the center. So you see that green line that's appeared, that's letting us know we're in the center. And if you don't see those, they're called snapping grids. You just make sure that this magnet, that when you hover over it says snapping, when that magnet icon is pressed down, that's when you get those snapping grids. So let's go ahead and bring in our people. So we're going to hit Place Image. And this is our fall family clip art set that I downloaded. So we're just going to pick a dad body and we'll click and drag him. And I'm just going to bring a few in and then we'll work on resizing them. So there's a dad body. Let's give ourselves a mom, maybe in the pink. Let's give ourselves a dad head. So once again, we hit that place tool. We're just going to click some of our various element options here. So we'll do this for the back of the mom's hair. And then let's add a kid in here. I guess we'll choose this guy that's running. And I think we still just need a kid head. Let's see what we got. Okay. So we've got our different elements and we just kind of need to size them and make sure that they are layered correctly. So I'm going to kind of move everyone off so we can work with one at a time. So let's start with our female body. The first thing I want to do is cut out all this extra space because it makes it difficult to line everything up. So we click on our crop tool and then we're just going to grab a hold of that little side and we're going to move it as close to the design as possible. And if it needs to be done, you know, the top as well, you can do that as well. All right, let's find our dad body. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go ahead and hit that crop tool, get rid of that extra space that's going to make it difficult for us to get everything lined up properly. And same thing with our kid. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and resize everything to basically look like a realistic family. So the father is probably going to be the tallest. So let's go ahead and start with him. We will make him a reasonable height. We're going to move him down here, towards the bottom of our landscape so that it kind of looks like he's looking out over the water. And we'll go ahead and give him a head. Now, as you can see, the head is a bit too large at the moment. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. And someone asked recently, how do you know what's the best proportion? So some of you might not know this, but I actually went to school for funeral directing. And one of the things that you learn in restorative art class, which is restorative art is the technique that's taught to morticians to allow them to be able to reconstruct the facial structure of someone who's been in a bad accident and like things like that, so that they don't look as horrible as they might have after something really tragic happened to them. It used to be one of the most interesting parts of going to school. And unfortunately, the economy tanked, so I didn't really get to enjoy that career path, but I have a lot more fun with you guys, obviously. But one of the things that you learn is that a perfectly proportioned body meets certain criteria. One of those is that the width of the head, the widest part of your scalp, is roughly 1/3 of your body, of your shoulder width. So if you can kind of visualize that in your mind, we're going to shrink this down until it looks like our head is roughly 1/3 of the body. And also, if I click off of that, you can see the shirt collar here. We obviously want to make sure that our neck fits inside of that shirt collar. So right now you'll see it's over top of it. And if you can't see, I'll zoom in just a little bit closer. That is because our head, and we'll click on this to rename it. That's because our head is on top of our body. And this is our body. So I'm just going to click on the text name in the layers panel. And I'm just going to rename it so it's easier for you guys to follow along. When you're looking at your layers panel, the order that things are here is the order that they're going to appear in your design. So if something is at the top of your list in your layers panel, it's going to be on top of all the items that are below it in your design. Now keep in mind that if they're not aligned with each other, for example, the mom body is over here. So even though this is above it, it doesn't have any impact on our mom unless we were to actually move it over here, which obviously we're not going to do. So just to kind of give you a visual, I see a lot of people struggle with understanding how to move their layers and navigate. So hopefully that made it a little clearer for you to understand. So we want to make sure that our dad head is moved below the dad body in the layers panel. So we're going to click it on and we're going to drag it all the way down. Now we want to make sure that we've got that full opaque rectangle bar that you see where my cursor is right now. That lets us know that this is going below it. Whereas if we were to put it like underneath where it says dad body, that would actually nest it inside of our body graphic, which is obviously not what we want. So we want to make sure it's below it. And then we'll give it a few final adjustments. I think we could go up a little bit so that he doesn't look like he's got such a short neck. And it looks like we can go over just a hair. And I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but you see that his neck is kind of sticking out a little too far right there. We are just going to bring that in by clicking on our corner node and resizing it just a hair. And now we've got that gap from the curve that's built into his neck. So we'll just lower that just enough to get it down there. So now when we zoom out, our dad and dad's head are the perfect proportions. Now, if you want to make sure that these stay together as you're moving everything around, you're going to hit Control and select both of your layers, and then you'll just right click and group. So now dad is one figure as we move him around. So now let's go ahead and add mom in there. Now we want her to look like she is maybe walking just a little bit in front of him. We don't want her too short, but she's probably going to be a little shorter than him. So we just kind of click on our quarter notes and you can move her however you would like. Now my idea here is that she's going to be holding his hand. So let's go ahead and get her where she needs to be. So right now she is behind him in our picture. Her hand does not align with his. And again, this is because in the layers panel, she is on top of him. So if we click and drag and make sure we've got that full opaque or translucent rectangle, sorry, now she's going to be below him. And we can move her hand over. We can move it up. The goal here is to make it look like they are holding hands. This one might not actually work with this. We might have to look back at our, let's look really quick. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is the one that we used. This one, she's not supposed to be holding his hand. She's just walking and holding a pumpkin, so that's fine. Some of them, they are made to hold hands or overlap, so we won't worry about making them hold hands. We just want to make sure that she is the appropriate size. So we'll go ahead and get her hair going. So now, because this is a woman's hair and it's very voluminous, we kind of can just play with it how we want. We want to make sure we can see her shoulders because a woman's hair rarely goes wider than her shoulders. And we want to make sure that it gives the appropriate height to make it look like she has the back of her head and her neck. So for this, because this is designed to be long hair, if you just mentally visualize that this line here at the bottom is probably where her waist, her lower waist is, then this height is just fine for her body. Once again, you can click and drag, or you can hit Control and select your two elements in your layers panel. We will right click and group so that she will be kept together. And we'll kind of bring her, I'm just going to resize her just a little bit because it looks like we're going to need to bring in that wagon for Dad's hand. So we'll go ahead and click on our place again. Let's bring in the pumpkin first. So I'll click on that pumpkin. And this pumpkin we want to look like it's in her hand. So if we zoom in, first thing is to kind of resize it so that it actually looks like something she would be able to carry. The next is we're kind of going to line it up over her hand and we'll tilt it a little bit because it would be resting on her arm like this if she was holding it. And then once again, we're going to click on this in the layers panel and drag it so that it's in front. So just by doing that, we can see that now it looks like she actually is holding it. It also looks like we can make it a little bit smaller to make it fit in her hand better. So if I zoom in, hopefully you guys can see that. Her fingertips are along the edge. That's how we know that that's a good size for this pumpkin. Now you probably still want to group this, so that when you move her, you don't end up getting everything all distorted. So again, we'll click and drag, right click and group. Really easy. I'm sure you guys are catching on to this now. We're going to hit place image again. And I suppose now we need the wagon. All right, so it looks like the wagon comes in two parts. So there's our handle and there's our wagon. So once again, we're going to hit that crop tool. We're going to bring in this dead space that's all around our element. This isn't always the case. I can't tell you why some do it and some don't, but it just isn't always the case that you'll have to deal with having to crop this. But apparently for this today we do, so I want to make sure we cover it. And again, that's just this crop tool that looks like brackets. So we will slide our handle so that it looks like the dad is holding it. Looks like we can move it up a little bit. There we go. And wagon's a bit bigger, right? So we'll make that handle the appropriate size. And then we'll go ahead and click on our corner node and drag to make that wagon nice and big. And I think our handle kind of needs to be angled. So we will click on this circle that's outside of our initial parameter nodes, and we'll kind of turn it like that. That way it kind of actually looks like he's pulling our wagon. We'll zoom out so we can make sure that our proportions look about right. I'd say that's pretty fair for a wagon. And you could put a child in there, or some pumpkins. There's gourds in this particular set. They've got gourds, they've got pumpkins, they've got little kids sitting, so that would be perfect in there. You definitely have some options as far as that goes. And now we've also got our child who is running. So we want to fit him, let's see. We're going to have to shrink our family down a little bit. Oops. So I'm just going to click and drag all of our family, our mom and dad right now, and I'm just going to shrink them down diagonally and move them over so that we have room for our little kid running. And we need to make him much smaller, obviously. And we can actually move him up on our landscape so that it looks like he is further ahead of them as he is running with excitement towards the beautiful water. And then once again, we're going to just follow the same steps for aligning our head. This giant head is obviously not the appropriate size. So we will focus on bringing it all the way down to what we can visualize as being 1/3 of the shoulder width, and also being mindful of the space of the collar that has been predetermined. So in our layers panel, we've got our boy head, and this is our boy body. And we will click on the boy head, drag it down in the layers panel, making sure that we have the full translucent rectangle to let us know it's going below it, not inside of it. And then we can make any final adjustments that we want. It honestly looks like we got it pretty good. Doesn't really need to be moved over. The only thing that we need to do is, as you can see, it kind of looks like the mom is going to smack the kid in the head with the pumpkin. So we will click and drag to select our boy body and boy head. We'll right click and group them. And then we're going to drag them below the mom in the design. There we go. So now it looks like he is running in front of her and that they are running towards the water. So now you can go ahead and take something like this and put it on an ornament or a tote bag, a throw pillow. Really, you have a lot of options, and you can, if you're personalizing these for your customers, you can go ahead and add some names to it to fit the theme. For example, I just clicked on our text tool and typed that out really quick. If you wanted to be using this for digital designs that you would resell, then you would have to incorporate your own background, your own text, at least 50% other elements that come from elsewhere into a completed design. If you want to kind of see an overview, we have a video on how to use design elements to make your own designs. Check that out on our YouTube channel. But this video is really just to show you guys how to work with these build-a-character sets. So as you can see, they're honestly really easy to use. The main thing is you just want to make sure that you are being mindful of the placement and the size, because you want these to look professional. You want these to look like they're the appropriate size for the characters. And honestly, as long as you keep the little tips that I recommended, like making sure that the head width is no more than 1/3 of the shoulder width, and also being mindful of things like collars and body size and length in terms of the placement of the head and hair, the way that the hand is holding the pumpkin. If you just zoom in and make those modifications, you're going to end up with a professional result that your customers will be really happy with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I know it was quick. As I mentioned, I did download these off of Creative Fabrica from Lecoq Designs, who has just so many unbelievably amazing graphics for you to choose from, different hairstyles, themes. I mean, these Christmas ones are so perfect for the upcoming holidays to do ornaments for your customers or even doormats. So you really have a ton of options. I have included the link to Creative Fabrica, which is an affiliate link. This does not mean that it costs you any more, but it does mean that we may get a small commission for the referral. It's an FTC law that you have to, FTC rule, sorry, that you have to disclose affiliate links. So that is why I'm letting you know. We hope that you will click on it and join this membership. This subscription is my absolute favorite. Like I said, I use it a lot for these digital papers, which you can apply to text and all sorts of things. But for those of you who are so interested in using these build a character sets to create personalized products for your customers for all different occasions, or if you're simply looking to use them in digital designs, then we have now shown you how to make sure everything is in there and sized accordingly and works for your end product. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below and we'll go ahead and answer them when we can. Of course, if you're catching this on YouTube, commenting is turned off. Be sure to join our Facebook group where this video is live and you can ask questions there. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.